Hi, welcome to Module 3 of the Hashimoto's Self-Management Program. This module is focused on medications. I'm Dr. Isabella Wentz, your thyroid pharmacist, and you could say I know a thing or two about thyroid medications. In this module, we're going to be talking about how to understand the symptoms of overtreatment as well as undertreatment with thyroid hormones. We're going to talk about how to understand your own thyroid lab testing. We're going to be talking about the 5 R's, or the 5 rights of appropriate medication use. I'm going to cover some helpful Hashimoto's medications, and I'm also going to cover some harmful medications that may harm you if you have Hashimoto's. We're also going to spend a little bit of time talking about alternatives to thyroid medications. So I'm really excited that you're here, and let's get started. For this module, you have quite a few different helpful handouts that I hope will guide you on your journey. The Module 3 workbook is a really great place to start and will contain a lot of helpful information and resources for you. The thyroid gradient will help you figure out whether you're utilizing your current thyroid medications appropriately. The medication conversion chart will help you and your healthcare practitioner guide you in how to properly convert between various types of thyroid medication forms. The TSH doctor letter will help you advocate for potentially increasing your dose of thyroid medications if that's a need that you have. The PPI taper protocol will teach you how to properly taper off of proton pump inhibitors, which are medications that can potentially sabotage your gut health and therefore your thyroid health. The International Thyroid Medication Guide is a special guide for people living overseas, outside of the United States, I should say. The Low-Level Laser Therapy Guide is a guide on an alternative to thyroid medications that can help you optimize your own levels of thyroid hormone by helping to repair the thyroid gland. As a special bonus, I've also included my popular thyroid medication ebook that has all the best practices for optimizing your thyroid medications. Thyroid hormone plays a critical role within our body. Thyroid hormone has receptors in every single cell. This is very, very critical, and this is part of the reason why thyroid symptoms, so when you have an underactive thyroid especially, can be so nonspecific. It seems that every single system is impacted by thyroid hormones. That's because every cell has thyroid receptors, so this makes perfect sense. The main roles of our thyroid gland are to produce energy and to help us with metabolism. Now, some people will say that they're not really interested in taking thyroid medications. And if you're one of these people, I really urge you to reconsider and take the best out of every single intervention that's out there, whether that's conventional medicine or natural medicine, alternative medicine, innovative therapies. There are all resources that are available to you, and I really want to teach you how to properly care for yourself. Thyroid hormones can be tremendously helpful on your healing journey, and if you don't have enough thyroid hormones on board, you're going to be potentially sabotaging yourself. You're going to be martyring yourself for potentially a cause. I know some people will say, I don't want to do any medications, I only want to do things naturally, and of course we have the people that say, I don't want to do any natural things, I just want to take medications. And of course, just a little reminder to keep an open mind and to treat yourself with self-love, kindness, and compassion, and choose the things that are going to be the most appropriate for you today. Just because you get on thyroid hormones doesn't mean you have to stay on them forever. A little bit more about the stages of Hashimoto's and at which stages thyroid hormones are going to be especially important. The very first stage of Hashimoto's is just the genetic predisposition to get the condition. For all intents and purposes, a person does not have an attack on the thyroid gland at this point. They don't have any abnormalities in their thyroid hormones, they don't have any thyroid antibodies, and they don't have any thyroid symptoms. So for all intents and purposes, this probably should be called stage 0, although in the research it's called stage 1. So this just means that perhaps you have the genetic code within your body to develop thyroid disease at some point in your life. And whether you develop or not is going to be related to what triggers you're exposed to and whether or not you have intestinal permeability. So if you are somebody with thyroid disease, then perhaps your children are going to be in stage 1, but they may not have the condition at this point. So at this point, prevention is key, and thyroid hormones, thyroid medications are not going to be necessary. In the second stage of Hashimoto's, we're going to see that the immune system has started to recognize the thyroid gland as a foreign invader, and at this stage, immune cells start collecting within the thyroid gland. We're going to see an elevation in thyroid antibodies, we're going to see potentially symptoms, and we're going to see the beginning stages of damage to the thyroid gland. However, thyroid hormones may still be normal. Most doctors will not recommend thyroid hormones. However, research has shown that taking thyroid hormones at this stage can help you from a symptoms perspective, so you'll feel better. And 2, taking thyroid hormones will also slow down the progression of the condition. This is because thyroid hormones, when you give them to a person, they essentially allow the thyroid gland to take a break, to take a rest. And when the thyroid gland is resting and not working in overdrive to produce more thyroid hormones, it becomes less visible to the immune system and provides the thyroid gland an ability to sort of hide while we work on all of these other things. At this stage, I generally recommend a very low dose of thyroid medication, perhaps 25 microgram equivalents of levothyroxine, or maybe 1/4 grain of Armour thyroid or natural desiccated thyroid. Now, you'll learn more about all of these things as we go through this module, and of course, all of the references are here for you. Subclinical hypothyroidism, at this stage, we start seeing a bit of a failure of the thyroid gland. So enough damage has happened where the thyroid gland can no longer produce enough thyroid hormone, and at this stage we're going to see generally a raise in TSH. Some doctors will say that they're not going to give a person in this stage any thyroid hormones unless the person is highly symptomatic, has a TSH above 10, or is trying to get pregnant. I would advocate for starting thyroid hormones at this stage as well, if this is the stage where you're discovered to have Hashimoto's, because again, this can help you from a symptoms perspective, and this can also help you prevent further damage to your thyroid gland. It's not going to stop the damage, but it'll slow it down, again, through the same mechanism of allowing the thyroid gland to rest a bit. Stage 4 is overt hypothyroidism. At this stage, we're going to see that a person has complete failure of the thyroid gland. Between stage 2 and 4, about 10 years usually may take place, and unfortunately stage 4 is when most people are discovered to have thyroid disease. At stage 4 is definitely when I recommend taking thyroid hormones. Stage 5, this is the stage where we have progression to other autoimmune disorders. And again, this is why it's so important to make sure that you're not just taking thyroid hormones, even if you're asymptomatic, but you're also working to resolve the root cause or the origin of your autoimmune condition. Because if your body is attacking your thyroid gland, there's a chance that it'll attack something else if you don't address the underlying autoimmune response. So I hope these 5 stages help you understand where you are with your Hashimoto's journey and whether or not it's an appropriate time for you to take thyroid hormones.